Hello, you join me here in Dubai for the official launch of Callaway's new XR16 range of woods and irons, and I've got the XR16 driver here in my hands. Now, traditionally when designing drivers, manufacturers and engineers have always had to deal with certain trade-offs in areas of performance. So if you've got a low CG headed driver, it tends to not be very forgiving. Conversely, if it's a very high MOI driver, it might not be the most aerodynamic. And also, if there's loads of adjustability in the sole and the hosel, it can be quite heavy. So there's always these trade-offs, but Callaway say that with this new XR16 driver, they've managed to create a very forgiving driver, but one that's also very light and aerodynamic. And the way that Callaway have done this is by teaming up with Boeing, very famous for their manufacturing of planes, in designing the feature we see on the crown, which is going to help golfers increase their clubhead speed. It's called a trip step crown. You remember the speed step crown from the original XR driver. This is designed a little bit differently, a slightly different shape. You can see here there's a gap in the middle like we saw with the XR driver, but a slightly different shape. There's been a lot of thought gone into the design of this trip step crown. Without getting too technical about how it works, if you imagine a driver club head coming into the ball, you've got a flat club face here, which is obviously going to slow the club head down. As the air travels over the top and underneath it, it creates a little bit of a wake behind the club head, so an area of low pressure which creates aerodynamic drag, which is not what we want. But what this trip step crown design does is it helps the air kind of stay attached to the crown for a little bit longer, reducing the amount of aerodynamic drag that you experience during the swing, going to increase your club head speed. So we know they've managed to increase the speed of this driver, but they've also managed to make the driver more forgiving, and that's due to the weight savings they may have been able to make in the face and on the body itself. The face is 9 grams lighter than the previous XR driver, and the body is 2 grams lighter, so in total that's 11 grams, which in the grand scheme of driver design is a hell of a lot, and they've been able to position that more towards the perimeter and more towards the back to help raise the forgiveness of this driver. Just looking down at this driver at address, not drastically different from the original XR. We've got this matte black finish on the crown, which is going to reduce glare. We've got the black face. There's some new colours here, some new lines on it, which makes it a little bit different in appearance. Actually frames the ball quite nicely, and also helps you align the face a little bit. So don't mind the look of the club at address. Looks great from the bottom. You've got these kind of indentations here, which looks very aerodynamic. I'm not sure how much it's going to help reduce drag or increase clubhead speed or anything like that, but it certainly looks very sleek. Had a fitting with Mike, one of the Callaway technical reps who's with us on the trip. This is the spec that I was fitted for, so I've got the Pro head, 9-degree head in the extra stiff speeder 665 shaft. I've been using my SkyTrack launch monitor, the real golf balls. Let's have a look at the data to see what kind of performance we got out of it. First thing I think we need to look at is the club head speed. Don't forget, Callaway claiming that this new trip step crown is making the club a lot more aerodynamic, going to reduce drag and give you more club head speed. For me, I was averaging 103 here according to the data. There is an errant shot in there which I haven't deleted. You'll notice the shot number 3, 99 miles an hour, but I've actually managed to get one up at 108, which is above average for me. I'm averaging 103. If you took that bad one out, you'd probably be looking at 104, 105, which maybe a fraction of increase. Getting one up to 108 is very high for me, so you could perhaps argue a slight increase. Again, looking at the spin numbers, 2.6, it's pretty high. I've got one really high one in there at 3.2, so we've also got ones down at 1.8 and 2,000. So yeah, looking at spin, probably averaging, if you took those two bad ones out, about 2.4. So pretty good spin numbers. Total distance, again, if you took that bad one out, we've got a 2.62 average at the moment. It's probably looking at more like 2.67, 2.68. Really impressive distance numbers. Really impressed with the feel of this driver. Certainly a very solid feeling driver. Certainly the Pro head, which I experienced during my fitting, far lower spinning head. So if you're a faster swinger, I think you're not only going to enjoy the more compact look of the Pro, you're going to enjoy the lower spin that you get from it as well. Very solid off the face, very forgiving for such a small head. I think, you know, tour players, better players, low single figures, we all want to know that our driver is going to give us forgiveness, and there's no doubt that the XR16 certainly delivers on that, even for such a small head. Very impressive levels of forgiveness. So yeah, some pretty good numbers here. Launching at around 16.5 from a 9-degree head, that's pretty high actually, so that high launch low spin combination should work for a lot of people. So on the whole, really impressed with the new Callaway XR driver. Don't forget, this is one of their lower price point models, so if you're in the market for a new driver this year and you want to save a few pennies, the Callaway XR16 is certainly one model you should be considering to test out. Comes out at the end of January, so make sure you check it out when it hits the shelves.